In May 1870, a serial killer and cannibal was born by the name of Albert Hamilton Fish, also known as the Grey Man. It was said that he killed between 3 and 10 people, possibly more. Albert was born in May 1970. He was the youngest of 3 siblings, Walter, Annie and Edwin Fish. Believe it or not, Albert wasn't always his real name. He wanted to be named Albert after a sibling that sadly passed away when he was young. Many of his family members actually had mental illnesses, but his father passed away of a heart attack in 1875. Albert's mother then took Albert to an orphanage, where he got beaten and whipped every single day, and then soon discovered he actually liked the physical pain, and he got erections from it. And because of that, the other orphans teased him. He started a homosexual relationship at the age of 12, where he was shown about drinking urine and many other things. Not long after that, Fish started visiting public baths, where he could watch young boys getting dressed, and he actually spent most of his time there. By 1890, Fish had actually arrived in New York City, where he actually claimed that he was a male prostitute and started sexually abusing boys. Fish had committed what may have been his first attack in 1910, and his first attack was on a young boy named Thomas Bedin in Wilmington, Delaware. He then went and stabbed a young mentally challenged boy in 1919. Many of his victims were either mentally retarded or African American, because he for some reason said that they were the ones that would not be missed. On the 25th of May 1928, Edward Budd put a classified ad into a newspaper which said, "Young man, 18, wishes for a position in the country. Budd, West 15th Street." Only 3 days later, Fish actually visited their home, and he said he was from New York and he was going to offer Edward a job. And this is when Fish met his younger sister, Grace, only aged 10. Fish promised to hire him, and he would get in touch with him within a few days. On his second visit, he actually agreed to hire Budd. And then Fish convinced Grace's and Edward's parents to take Grace to a birthday party that night at his sister's house. But then Fish left that day with Grace and never came back. And then 7 years later, in November 1934, a letter was anonymously sent to Grace's parents explaining what happened to her. I will now read the letter to you. This is the original letter with all of the grammar mistakes and spelling mistakes.
Dear Miss Budd, in 1894 a friend of mine shipped as a deckhand on the steamer Tacoma, Captain John Davis. They sailed from San Francisco for Hong Kong, China. On arriving there, he had 2 others, went ashore and got drunk. When they returned to the boat was gone. At that time there was famine in China. Meat of any kind was from $1 to $3 per pound. So great was the suffering among the very poor, and all children under 12 were sold for food in order to keep others from starving. A boy or girl under 14 was not safe on the street. You could go in any shop and ask for steak chops or stew meat, part of the naked body of a boy or girl that would be brought out, and just what you wanted to cut from it. A boy or girl's behind, which is the sweetest part of the body, and sold as veal, cutlet brought the highest price. John stayed there so long he acquired a taste for the human flesh. On his return to New York, he stole 2 boys, one of 7 and one of 11. Took them to his home, stripped them naked, tied them in a closet, then burned everything that they had on. Several times a day and night he spanked them, tortured them to make their meat good and tender. First he killed the 11-year-old boy because he had the fattest ass and of course the most meat on it. Every part of his body was cooked, eaten except the head, bones and guts. He was roasted in the oven, boiled, broiled, fried and stewed. The little boy was next. Went the same way. At the same time, I was living at 409 East 100th Street near Rightside. He told me so often how good human flesh was, and I made up my mind to taste it. On Sunday, June the 3rd, 1928, I called on you at 406 W 15th Street. Brought you cheese, strawberries, we had lunch. Grace sat on my lap and kissed me. I made up my mind to eat her. On the pretense of taking her to a party, you said yes, she could go. I took her to a house in Westchester I had already picked out. When I got there, I told her to remain outside. She picked wild flowers. I went upstairs and stripped all of my clothes off. I knew if I did not, I would get blood all over them. When all was ready, I went to the window and called her. Then I hid in a closet until she was in the room. When she saw all of me naked, she began to cry and tried to run down the stairs. I grabbed her and she said she would tell Mama. First I stripped her naked. How she did kick, bite and scratch. I choked her to death, then cut her in small pieces so I could take my meat to my room, cook and eat it. How sweet and tender her little ass was roasted in the oven. It took me 9 days to eat her entire body. I did not fuck her, though I could have had wished she'd died a virgin.
As Grace's mother actually got the letter, she was illiterate, so she had to get Grace's older brother to actually read this out to her. You can really imagine how they would feel and what they were going through, and there's actually so much more of this story that I haven't actually covered. If you found it interesting in any way at all, then I'll leave the link to where I got all the information from down below, so then you can read all through it and fill in the gaps. There's a few more murders and all that, but I just wanted to show you guys the general idea of what he was like. He wasn't a nice person. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more from me, make sure you click the subscribe button down below, leave a comment. This is what you're going to expect from me from this channel. I'm going to be doing loads of different things like this, so not necessarily just killers, and just be like mysteries and all that. I've recently just become really interested in it, and I thought I'd share my interest with you guys. So anyways, I'll see you in the next video.